And then I'm going to make you the host of the mostest, and then you will have to let everybody in.
Bill, you stuck in Maryland?
No, I'm back in Pennsylvania.
Snowmobile? Did you get snowmobile? That's got you home.
It's actually like no snow here in Pennsylvania. We got maybe a dusting in this storm.
Got out of Baltimore just in time.
Yeah.
Lights were.
Jeremiah has a orthodontist appointment on Thursday, so we're driving up tomorrow.
No, you turn that on off. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'll try to keep an eye on the waiting room too.
This thing is so.
Rick, to get started, I just muted everybody. So if you want to come off mute and have anything to kick us off, we can probably get started.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming again tonight. This has been a great turnout. Yesterday we had a really good turnout in Manchester as well. All those who were on tonight that came yesterday, thank you for that, and I hope you got something out of it. I think you did. Um, Tonight Phil's doing interference, going over all the different types of interference. I think it'll be great, and that's about all. Phil,
I guess
how about it?
that's how they want it.
All right. So for interference, I think as folks know, we've got a lot of different types of interference. I'm going to try to get through all of them tonight, which means we're not going to dig too far deep into any one of them. For most of them, I'll have some video examples that we can struggle through. I'll have some case plays that we can talk about with multiple choice and hopefully come to some agreement on. What I don't want to do here is just read rules to you. So I'm not going to read what's on the screen. I'm just going to hit some high points of these definitions. So for the first one here in the definition of interference, we identify what the different kinds are. So keep in mind that what we'll be covering tonight is all of these, plus we'll go back and talk about catcher's obstruction, which is in other rule codes called catcher's interference, but in Federation, it's a type of obstruction. And I said last week when we talked about obstruction that we would do catcher's obstruction this week. So stay tuned and we'll get to that. So we'll step through these kind of in order. We'll have the different types of offensive interference. Those can be by a batter, by a runner, by a coach, by team personnel. So there are a bunch of different types that we'll dig into there. We'll talk briefly about umpire interference and the two types that we have there, as well as the several types that we do not have that sometimes people think are umpire interference, but are not. We'll briefly cover spectator interference, which we don't get a lot of at the high school level, but still important to cover because some things do happen from time to time. Then we'll talk about backswing interference, follow-through interference, and that intervening period, which is obstruction by the catcher. And then we'll see where we're at. So if there are questions as we go along, unmute yourself and feel free to ask. But starting with batter's interference, we have Rule 735, which says what the batter shall not do. And so these are all examples of interference by the batter, and we'll see some examples of these. So when we talked at Merrimack Valley, we talked about the leaning over home plate, particularly after a batter swings and the momentum of their swing takes them over the plate. That type of leaning over the plate is kind of what we're talking about here. Stepping out of the batter's box. So when there's a play at third base and the batter steps backwards, that can be an example of that, or also stepping onto the plate with the momentum of their swing. The making any movement, this is one that I think people struggle with sometimes when you think about a batter who may or may not interfere with a catcher's throw to third base. You think that if they stay within the batter's box, they're okay. But in fact, by not moving, they're okay. When they make a movement, now they put themselves in jeopardy, even if they stay within the confines of the batter's box. And then on pass balls, failing to get out of the way, probably something you see more at the little league level than at the high school level. But all things that the batters would be guilty of interference if they did. When we have an action by the batter that constitutes interference, we have a delayed dead ball. And the reason we have a delayed dead ball is because if the catcher, for example, makes a play on the runner who's stealing, then we allow that play to happen. And if the runner is retired, we ignore the interference by the batter. If the catcher doesn't retire that runner, then we have a dead ball immediately and we award bases or we call outs accordingly. From a penalty perspective, there's a difference in the number of outs. And this only really applies when we have a runner who's trying to score. So a squeeze play or steal of home. And when you have that situation, if there are 2 outs, then the batter is out. If there are fewer than 2 outs, the runner is out. The batter stays up with whatever the count has. If there's a 3rd strike, then we get Gary's favorite, which is 2 outs on the same play. Can't beat that. We'll have a couple more of those as they come up for interference. So the fun part of this now, let's look at some examples. So if I can get this video to play, we'll have here a batter who takes a big swing and his momentum carries him over the plate. So he leans over the plate and eventually steps out. I think we can hopefully all agree that he interferes with the catcher's throw to second. We'll see this base umpire make a call on this play of safe. And so at this point, what would we have? We have interference on the catcher. We didn't retire the runner. So what's our plate umpire going to do in this situation?
With 2 outs, the batter's out, right?
This will be in any situation, unless it was the 3rd strike.
Yeah.
Batter's out, runner goes back.
Batter's going to be out, runner goes back. So immediately our plate umpire is going to come up and signal that's interference, right? Signal that's interference, not kill it, but signal that's interference. Then let this play out. When the base umpire safes the runner at second, now the plate umpire is going to come out in front of the plate. They're going to call time, and then they're going to enforce the out here on the batter. So it'll be pointing at the batter. He's out for interference, and then the runner who's now at second, we're putting them back at first. That's how we're enforcing this play.
There's 2 outs. Wouldn't that be the end of the inning or
With 2 outs, it would be the end of the inning, but the 2 outs only applies when there's a runner on third trying to score. So when we have batter's interference on that type of play, we're always going to have the batter out. The only difference will be if there were already 2 strikes on the batter and he swings and misses. Now we have a 3rd strike on the batter. He's already out. Now if he interferes, that runner at second would also be out. We would have 2 outs on that play because the batter was already out, and now we have a retired player who's interfering. The number of outs otherwise is immaterial. It's only the number of strikes that matters.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, in this play, we got a runner stealing third, and we'll see that the swing of the batter on the follow through makes contact with the catcher. And so on this play for follow through interference, we should be treating it the same way as we do any other interference by the batter in Federation baseball. Okay, so this would also be a delayed dead ball. This plate umpire, you'll see, calls time here before the play is finished, which is not the right way to do this. You'd want this play to finish at third base. If the runner at third is retired, we would ignore the interference, just like we would on any other batter's interference. We treat follow-through interference the same way in Federation baseball. If this runner is safe, batter is out, we return all runners.
Phil, can you just let Jim Walsh in? He's at the door.
Yep.
Thanks.
So,
Thanks.
So guys, the proper mechanic there would be to identify the interference, not call time and kill the ball right away. Just identify the interference. Let everybody know that you've got it, and then wait and see what happens, and then enforce it if you need to.
Just giving that one a point. That's interference. We'll come back to it if we have to. Thanks, Rick.
Same results on both plays if the catcher does not throw the ball.
Yeah, so if the catcher does not throw the ball, then we would call time and we would enforce the interference.
Got it.
Runners
Feeling
going
it.
back. Batters out, runners go back. Another big swing. You don't see the count on this one, but the count here was 2 strikes on the batter. And after he struck out, he starts to head back to the dugout. So he stepped out of the batter's box, interferes with the catcher's throw. We meet the definition of batter interference here. And since the batter was already out, what are we going to do with the runner?
The runner's out too?
Runner's also going to be out. Whether if the throw gets him, great. If the throw doesn't get him, then time. That was interference. Batter was already out. And we're getting 2 outs here. Note the situation here. Again, it's a 1-2 count, 1 out, runner on first. See this better when they change the angle, but the batter on his follow through hits the catcher and right here.
Ooh.
So that was strike 3. Batter's out. And the runner's also going to be out here, right? Because the batter was already retired. And that's in our rule set on follow through interference. If I play this through, you'll see that the plate umpire in this puts the runner back on first base because the pro rule in OBR is different than how we enforce things in Federation. Federation treat follow through interference like any other interference by the batter. Any questions about the batter's interference? So the couple of things, again, to keep in mind, we're almost always calling the batter out and putting the runner back. Unless there are 2 strikes, then we're getting a twofer. If the throw retires the runner, we ignore the interference. If you remember those things, you've got batter's interference. Any questions on those videos or that concept before we move on? All right, let's talk about runner's lane interference. So we should all know the definition of this from having read the rule book, and it's a point of emphasis this year. So I'm not going to belabor this, except to say that the rule here is a little bit different than what we have in other codes of baseball. We have the ball being fielded or thrown to first base, and there's no comment here about the quality of the throw, right? That it needs to be a throw that can be handled by the first baseman. We don't have that in Federation like we have in other rule codes. Everything else is the same. So this is a little chopper back to the pitcher.
Obviously, experience working with.
We'll have a batter runner headed to first base. Have we got him in the runner's lane, or is he to the left of the runner's lane in fair territory?
He's in fair.
I've got him in fair territory.
Yeah.
Does he interfere with the first baseman's ability to catch this? Does he interfere with the throw?
Yes.
Throw hits him in the helmet. That's going to be interference. So how do we now officiate this? Interference is a delayed dead ball or an immediate dead ball?
Federation is delayed dead ball.
This one's going to be an immediate dead ball. Okay. So as soon as this happens, we as the plate umpire are shutting this down. So if we had multiple runners, we don't want to let the circus keep going, right? We want to stop this right away. So we come up big from, we've hopefully trailed this up the first base line a little bit, but we're coming up with time right away and killing it. We're saying that the batter is out, and any other runners who are on base are going to return to where they were at time of pitch.
Is it like type 2, but we don't have type 2?
Say that again?
Is this like type 2, but we don't have type 2 in Federation?
No, that's obstruction, Teddy. So different concept here.
Okay, yeah.
Can any umpire make that determination, or just the home plate umpire?
This is the home plate umpire's call. And so if the plate umpire doesn't get this and our base umpire thinks that it was, you could certainly talk about this after the play, because you're probably going to have a coach coming out either way to ask about this. But yeah, this is not one that I think the base umpire, I would not recommend. Brick, if you want to take that from a mechanics perspective.
Sure. Yeah, you don't want the base guy grabbing that right away. No, for sure. Certainly not. It is something though, yeah, you can discuss if a coach asks you to get help and you for whatever reason weren't 100% and didn't feel good about it. You could get together and talk about it. But it's important that before you break from your discussion, you know how you're gonna change that. And that's going to be really tricky in this situation. So you really, really, really have to know for sure in order to change it, because if you change it, then you got to put runners in places they're not going to be convinced you're correct on, and that's going to create more discussion. And so it's better, I would say, to just stay away from it, let your plate guy make the decision, and we're moving on from there. That would be my advice.
Well, Rick, I see in this instance it's at least a 3-man crew and a 2-man crew with a runner at second base. That still remains the home plate.
This is always the home plate.
Always the home plate. Yep. Always. Yep. Now, another important point to make, in my experiences, anytime you make that call of interference, because what has happened, the ball is obviously going to the right field corner. Everybody's excited. Everybody's pumped up and jumping up and down, and everybody thinks this is wonderful. You've probably said time about 4 times before you get anybody's attention. You've just got to keep going until everybody settles down. You got to be strong and loud. They're not going to get it the first couple times you say it, because they're distracted by this action that's going. So, but
yeah, it's not the time to be a shrinking violet and
right.
calling this from behind the plate area. Come out into the area approaching the mound, make yourself visible.
That's right.
Phil, with that immediate dead ball, the other runners, whatever their last base achieved, that's where they stay.
Time of pitch.
Ooh, time of pitch. Okay.
Time of pitch.
Put them all back. Nobody's scoring. So if we had R3 and there was a bunt, we're putting him back on third.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, does the runner just have to touch the line?
So if they have a foot on the line, both feet within, then they're okay. But 1 foot being out of the runner's lane means they're out of the runner's lane.
No matter how
Be
close they are.
entirely within the confines of the runner's lane, and just like the batter's box, the lines count, right? So if you're on the line, you're in.
Even if it's the last step before it's his last left foot before he gets to the base with his right foot.
It's a great point, Curtis. So while we
Yes.
right now don't have the double first base, which is coming next year, as everybody knows, right now the base is entirely in fair territory. So you do have to, at the last step, cross over. And so the interpretation and the guidance that we and other levels of baseball use is that if the runner was in the runner's lane as they ran to first base, and that last step causes them to interfere as they're coming out of the lane to touch the base, they're okay. If they were out of the runner's lane the entire way going to first base,
right,
then they're not okay. We're not going to protect them. And so we've got to be following them all the way up, not just at the moment of truth in that situation.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
So
And this,
go ahead. Phil, you got something else?
no, it's Jay.
Jay, what do you got?
It just shouldn't it, there was a little bit of debate about whose call that was to make.
Mhm.
Shouldn't it be automatically the home plate umpire? Because he has everything up to the bag, right?
Well, it's not really the bag. That's a ball. That's a reference to the ball all the way up to the bag. But yeah, he's trailing. He's looking up that line, so he's got that. Yeah, the base guy is going to be in maybe a couple different places off the line for sure, either in A or he may even be in the middle of the diamond. You never know.
Yep.
So yeah, it's got to be the plate guy. That's who owns that primary call for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Now, Phil brought it up that the point that next year when we see the double base, this is one of the things that's going to make it easier for us to explain and to sell an interference call because there should be absolutely no reason for them to be even anywhere near fair territory going to a bit to that bit to first base because the bag that they're going to is in foul territory. So it's going to make it easier for us. That's one of the things that's going to be easier for us.
Great. So I have another one here. You can see this ball hit weakly toward the pitcher. Got a batter runner who stays inside. And when we talk about, even in that situation, when we talk about the quality of a throw, it doesn't have to be a perfect throw. Okay. If it's within the vicinity of the first baseman, like we're taking this, right? We're taking the out here.
Hey, Phil,
Yeah.
there does have to be a throw though, correct?
There does have to be a throw. In all rule sets, there has to be a throw. So in all of these, we have runners who are running inside the foul line. They're in fair territory. We don't have the same MLB rule that the dirt counts because in some fields we're playing on all dirt. We don't have the well manicured fields that MLB has. So all we have is the runner's lane. And if they're out of the runner's lane, they do still have to interfere, but that's when they're in jeopardy of being out, right? If they're in the runner's lane and they interfere with the throw, they're protected. That's what the rule's for. Okay. And we really need to be better about grabbing this. It's why it's a point of emphasis this year. There are coaches who, with two outs, will teach their players to run outside the running lane. Because in that situation, what have you got to lose? Right? You hit a little squibber back to the pitcher or a little, shot in front of the plate, or it's an uncaught third strike with two outs. The worst that's going to happen is you get called out for being out of the runner's lane. The best that happens is they throw the ball away. The plate umpire doesn't make the call for whatever reason. Now the ball ends up in right field and we've got, extra base runners and maybe somebody else has scored. So, coaches will teach their players to do this. We've got to be the police on it.
Forget
One question, Phil, for it. So in like order of operations, if you have a guy on first, normally we're going to have signaled that we're rotating to third, right? As the home plate guy.
So this is a ball in the infield, right? Because the only time that we're worried about a play at first base where we've got runner's lane interference is going to be when there's a throw being made to first base. So these typically happen in that little magic box area, right in front of the mound, halfway up both of the lines, where the pitcher, the third baseman charging, or the catcher is the one who's making that throw. So we would only be rotating here with a runner on first or first and third on a clean hit to the outfield, or with first and second fewer than two outs, a fly ball to the outfield where the runner at second's tagging. So none of those rotation situations would happen where we would have a runner's lane violation possible.
Okay.
What do you do? A lot of schools, they're pretty cheap on the chalk. They got low budgets and so on and so forth. I don't know what the best you do. If I see that, I walk right up, pace off when I think the 45 is, and I make a mark in the dirt that I can see. And then if a coach comes out and argues Well, how could you see that? It's coach. I said, umpire's opinion, my humble opinion. He was inside. He was inside the line, and that's why I'm calling him out.
Yeah, the 45, like where it starts, I think that's usually not the big issue because by the time that play happens at first base, they're usually past the 45. This kid's really slow. I suppose that could happen. But the more challenging part, I think, is where you would judge the 3 foot being how far it is away from the line. So if you've got foul lines, then you know where that is. And if they're running inside fair territory, you've got something, right? It's pretty difficult to enforce this if you don't have a runner's lane and you've got no frame of reference of what that 3 feet looks like. Unless they're, egregiously out 4, 5, 6 feet, like then no. But if it's close, I think it's tough to call without a line.
Okay,
Hey,
thank you.
Phil, on that question, right? So let's say this is the field I'm working on. If I'm going to say the kid's foot is where the grass and the dirt meet, and then he gets hit, then I'm going to call him out, right? Would that be a fair market to use just the inside part of the grass or it meets
Yeah,
the dirt?
and Brian, it's why, you've got the best look at this as a plate umpire because you're looking right up the line. So you can, even without a fair foul line, like you can see where that is. And so you've got the best look at it, whether you've got lines or not.
Pregame plate meeting, ground rules. Would you point this out and say, I'm going to
No,
do my best? I'm going to call a
no,
guy out if I think he's out.
nope. The only thing
No?
that I cover in my pregame are I get lineups. I talk about
Okay.
equipment. Is all your equipment legal? We cover the ground rules. Expect good sportsmanship today, guys. Come out swinging. Let's go. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Phil, the difficult call is when the catcher double clutches because the runner is screening the first baseman and he throws it over the first baseman's head. And you're always going to get the coach to come out and say, that runner was out of the line and he made my catcher airmail it. And that's why a lot of coaches teach the catcher, just drill the kid right in the back. Now, a lot of kids are too nice nowadays. They don't want to do that. But that is the tough call to ignore because you have to say to the coach, Coach, I'm not a mind reader. Did the ball slip out of the catcher's hands? There's no question he double clutched it. But he's just got to throw the ball. I can't give you that call. And if it's a wild throw, I'm not a mind reader.
Totally agree. And on the wild throw, the nice thing in Federation is that we don't have the component of having to have a quality throw. So if he throws it and it's 50 feet over the first baseman's head, I wouldn't call that in a Legion game. I wouldn't call that in an NCAA game. I wouldn't call that in a Little League game. I'd call that in a high school game because I can't. Great point, though.
The other
Rick.
point, Phil, we should make, I might be getting ahead of you, is that if that throw comes from foul territory, they have the right to be running outside the lane in fair territory. That would not be a penalizing position in that situation.
Yep.
So keep in mind of that. So they don't have to run in the running. They have to run just like if it was in fair territory, they're out of the running lane towards foul territory. That would be they're doing more than is expected. So anytime they're doing the more than is expected of them, they're not going to be penalized.
Agreed. And the one other exception that I don't have in here, but it is back when we were reading the rule, the exception to the runner's lane is if there's a ball hit down the first baseline and the batter runner leaves the runner's lane to avoid making contact with the fielder who is fielding the ball. That's okay. We're not going to then bag them for being out of the runner's lane. That is the exception when they are still protected. Okay, moving on to base runner interference. So I've highlighted this like a ransom note to just try to point out what some of the different types of interferences are here by a base runner. So for a thrown ball, the interference has to be intentional, right? They can't accidentally interfere with a thrown ball and have it be interference. The interference has to be intentional, and we'll see some videos that point that out. That's different than a fielder attempting to field a batted ball. That does not need to be intentional. So that's a key difference here for base runner interference that you need to understand if it's a thrown ball, it has to be intentional. If it's a batted ball, it does not need to be intentional. When a runner who has been put out or retired interferes, then that runner's already out. So once again, we get Gary's favorite, we get an extra out. So, he's pumping his fists there. Okay. Anytime we get 2 outs, but retire runner interference doesn't just happen at home. And we'll see an example of that that I'll show that happens at second base. A runner being hit by a batted ball, there are some exceptions to that, and we'll look at some of those exceptions. And then other people connected to the team. So it could be other team personnel who interfere, and we'll have coaches interference that we'll talk about as part of that. So in this video,
Phil,
yeah, go ahead.
What about a verbal interference? Say a situation, there's a pop fly, shallow pop fly to the pitcher. He's coming towards first base. He's trying to field the ball. Simultaneously, the runner's going up first base. And at the point they cross paths, they don't make contact, but the base runner says, Mikovic! And keeps going. Is there such a thing as verbal interference?
100% is. And it's a common misconception that you need to have contact to have interference.
Is it delayed or is it immediate?
Immediate. Interference is an immediate dead ball in these situations.
Perfect.
So in this video, we have a ball hit to left field. The left fielder is going to throw back to first base in an attempt to get the runner returning. The ball squirts away. Here's where it gets fun. The runner realizes I'm halfway between first and second, and I'm hosed. So here comes the throw, and watch the throw to second base. Everybody see what he did with his helmet there? He watched the ball coming towards him and then knocked it out of the air. You'll see it again here from a different angle. Here he gets the bad news. Watch him eyeing up the ball. Doink. That's intentional. I hope I don't need to explain to everybody here. That's intentional. And so when we have intentional interference with a thrown ball, we have a dead ball. This runner's out. Any other runners who were on base would return to the last base legally occupied when the interference happens. So the moment that he stuck out his head and made contact, if the runner who had rounded third is this far from the plate, we're putting him back to third base. Okay, so we have to be aware of where runners are here. This isn't like our obstruction last week where we put people where we think they would have been had there been no obstruction. This is punitive against the offense, right? They've screwed up, they've done something. We're putting their runners back. Okay, but if he scored, then he's going to stay scored, right? It's wherever he was at the time of the interference. That'll be true for all of these.
Whose call is it? Closest umpire?
Yeah, this would be the base umpire, and usually whoever the play's coming at. So if you had a 3-umpire system here, and you had U1 who was in A, then this would probably be U3's call. If you had 4 umpires, this is probably U2's call. If you have 2 umpires, it's the base umpire's call.
I sense in this particular play right here, I think actually, Phil, the first base umpire made the call. And I think the reason why that was
part of the reason that you have an ejection here is because of that. So this, Torey Lavello comes out and loses his mind. And
that was why. So to think about that mechanically, guys, just real quick, probably the reason why the first base umpire called that is because the second base umpire was getting ready to call the play at the bag. And what are we teaching you? To get your eyes to the play. That ball's being thrown to the second baseman. Let's get our eyes to that second baseman so we can be prepared to make the call on the play. So he took his eyes off momentarily. So that means that the first base umpire picked it up on that. So that was good umpiring.
For those of you historians of the game, remember the '78 World Series, so I'll show this from a couple angles. This is Reggie Jackson. We have a ball hit to the shortstop, and we can argue about whether that should have been called an intentionally dropped ball or not. But the shortstop picks it up, steps on second base. We have an out there. And now on that throw, ball hits the runner, and the circus ensues. So we have to judge whether that runner intentionally interfered with that thrown ball. Just the ball hitting him is not enough to have interference. He has to have intentionally interfered. And so I'll let you be the judge from this angle. Does Reggie stick his hip out?
Yep.
Looks a lot to me like he does. I believe later in his memoirs, he called this a sacrifice thigh.
So it doesn't matter that he was retired already?
It does not. Well, you could say that it's retired runner interference, but it's still interference because he intentionally interfered with a thrown ball, right? If this ball had just hit him and he had not intentionally interfered with it, ball goes away, run score, and life goes on. But it's the part about him intentionally interfering that makes this interference and not something that we pass over.
Sacrifice thigh, good one.
Yeah. Another one here, we've got a fly ball hit to right field. We've got R3 tagging, and the runner going back into first base gets hit by the ball. Does that look intentional?
No.
It's not intentional at all, right? We've got a runner coming back into the base like he's supposed to so that he doesn't get doubled off. He's not intending to get hit by that ball. That ball squirts away and 2 runs end up scoring. Play on, right? That is not interference. It was not intentional. This is the Manny Machado one. You'll see here that he will run, quote unquote, out of the baseline. So first baseman here fields this, and he changes his path, seems to be in a clear attempt to get in the way of the throw. But a couple things here that I'll point out. He never looks back. And so now you've got to make a decision about intentionality here. There is no requirement for him to run in a straight line between bases. Nobody's trying to make a tag on him. So the being 3 foot out of the base path doesn't apply here. And I'll just cut to the chase for the purposes of time. This is not interference.
Ooh. Smart play by an infielder.
Yep. And we have a similar one here where we're going to have a runner trying to score from third. And he runs way inside the line in fair territory where he may interfere with the throw. And in fact, interferes with the throw. But again, he doesn't look back. And so just running in that position in and of itself is not a qualification of being interference. So these are 2 examples where runners can do what they are going to do here and not be guilty of interference. This ball squirts away and the play goes on. You'll see the plate umpire there signals safe, right? That's nothing because it's not interference. And this is a good one to give a signal on because you're going to get a conversation anyway, but let people know you saw it and that you didn't have interference on
it. So could you not make the argument that there's no reason for the runner to run like that other than an intentional attempt to break up the play?
You could make the argument, but you'd be wrong.
Okay.
Right? And a lot of these, like you can try to justify, in my judgment, that was interference, in my judgment, that was intentional. But some part of the purpose of us doing these videos is that hopefully all of our judgment gets better and we get more consistent, right? We all look at this play the same now and say, this is not an illegal act by this runner. Had he looked back and as the ball was coming at him, did something, that would be intentional. But just running the bases in a little bit different way here, that is not intentionality, the way that we interpret intentional for the purposes of this rule. So this young man gets hit in a somewhat sensitive spot. We can agree this is a batted ball, ground ball up the middle. And the question we usually get here is about him being on the base, right? He's hit while he's on the base. Is the base a safe haven for being hit by a batted ball?
Nope.
Oh.
No.
The answer is no, except in one situation. What's the one
Infield fly.
situation? Right. If a batter or if a runner is hit by a batted ball while they're on the base and it's an infield fly, declared infield fly, then they would not be out. Any other time, it doesn't matter if they're on the base or not. The base is not a safe haven when you get hit by a batted ball. This is a fun one that was in the news maybe a year or so ago. We have bases loaded here. Notice the situation. Bases loaded, 1 out, and this will be a ground ball hit to the shortstop. Tailor-made double play ball. And the runner from second decides to field it. So we have a runner here who's hit by a batted ball. Clearly we have interference. So we're going to call time and enforce the penalty for interference, which is an out. Now, in this situation, if we could have had a double play and we have intentional interference like this, we're also going to take another out for a double play. In this situation, it doesn't really matter which runner we take because that'll be the third out and nobody's going to score anyway. But with fewer than 1 out here starting, we'd take the runner closest to home. Okay, so you would have batter, runner out because of the interference. I'm sorry, you'd have R2 out for interference, and you'd have R3 out on this interference as well. So the double play. Batter, runner would get first base, R1 moves up to R2, and keep going with 2 outs.
What was he thinking?
He was thinking that he's put some pressure on the umpires here, right? Because they're definitely going to call the interference, but are they going to call a double play? Probably not, but this is going to be a tailor-made double play ball that gets the team out of the inning. So it's the worst that happens.
He always wanted to be a shortstop.
Could be. But I mean, this is why it's important that we know this rule and we do our jobs. Because otherwise they'll still have bases, and this is the way this situation wraps up. They end up with bases loaded and 2 outs. Because we didn't take the double play here.
They didn't? Holy cow.
Yeah.
Kind of a smart play by that base runner.
In this play, we have a ball hit to the shortstop. Infield's playing in. This ball gets by the shortstop and hits R2. So we have a batted ball that hits a runner, usually an out. In this case, because the ball has passed an infielder and there's no other infielder behind him who can make a play on this ball, we do not have an out. We also have contact by the fielder with this ball. You can see that ball just touches his glove. And once the ball touches his glove, even if there was another fielder behind the runner, now we can't have interference. So there are 2 things that would make this play that we would not have interference on, even though it goes on and hits R2. And those 2 things are the ball had already passed an infielder and the ball deflected off the infielder's glove. Those things mean interference is off the table. This one happens pretty fast. Got a ground ball hit to the shortstop, R2 moving up to third base. At the moment of contact with the fielder, fields the ball, and now the runner knocks it out. What we're protecting the fielder to be able to do is field the ball and do something with it, right? So just because the contact here happened after he had an opportunity to field it doesn't let the runner off the hook from an interference perspective. Okay, he still needs to avoid this fielder because this fielder is probably going to first base with this ball, or he's going to make a tag attempt. But either way, it's not just enough to let him field it. You need to let him field it and then do something with it.
So this is like the A-Rod where he bats it away, right?
Yeah, that was very clearly intentional. This is less intentional, but the same principle.
Shortstop's being smart. He's getting there so he gets, instead of letting the ball pass the runner, he gets there to run into the runner.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that intentional, right? He's charging it because he's also got somebody running to first base who he's going to be trying to throw out. But yeah, I mean, if he's that smart, then good for him.
Guys, what we need to try to stay away from is trying to read the minds of what the players are doing. Just call the game the way that it's written, the rules are written. We try to figure out what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish. It clouds our judgment on what the rules are.
Phil, would you take the runner at first?
No, you would take the runner here. The batter runner will get first base. There's no opportunity for double play here or any exotic. I'm sorry, Gary, we can only get one out here. Okay, but R2 is going to be out. This is going to be time. That's interference. He's out. You first base to the batter runner.
What happens if the runner is like running to third and then stops right in front of the ball and then continues on to third without getting hit to try to distract the fielder?
Yeah, so if in your judgment that no contact distraction was interference, then you can grab interference on that. If he's just running in a straight line without interruption and happens to run in front of the fielder and causes him to miss the ball, again, we don't know that that's why he missed the ball, but if he doesn't do anything out of the ordinary, doesn't slow down, doesn't do a jumping jack in front of the guy, doesn't do something, then I would say you should stay away from interference in that situation. But if he does anything that interferes or does anything intentional like that, go get it.
Okay.
Phil, so in those instances where you get that kid that runs in front of the shortstop and intentionally slows down, stops, does a little jig or whatever, that's going to be interference, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that's on all codes?
Yep. And enforce the same way in all codes.
Guys, that's one you gotta grab it, because if you don't grab it, if the kid in the first inning is doing it, and then guess what? You're gonna have 3 or 4 more guys do it because you let it go in the first or second inning, and it's gonna create more problems. So just grab it. Just send a message that we're not having that.
This one we have a pop-up around the plate area. Batter moves his position and interferes with the catcher's ability to go get this ball. This is interference. This is different than the kind of untangle, tangle thing where the ball's right in front of the plate and right-handed batter is trying to get to first base and catcher's trying to field the ball. And if neither one of them does anything they're not supposed to do, we ignore obstruction, we ignore interference and let it play out. That's not this situation. This is a pop-up. This is catcher has the right to go field this ball. We have interference on this play. Play it one more time. See that the batter moves toward the catcher here. He has to get out of his way. And we don't wait to see if this catcher makes this catch. You'll see that this umpire kills this while it's still in the air. That's the interference. Time. It's interference. Doesn't matter if he catches it now or not. He's out. In this play, again, I want you to notice the situation. We have first and second with 1 out. This should send up everybody's little spider senses that we have an infield fly situation. This ball is pretty near the line. And by pretty near the line, I mean, grainy video doesn't help us a lot here. Watch the interaction between the first baseman and R1. Everybody see that contact?
Mm-hmm.
R1 has to get out of the first baseman's way. We've got to make a decision about which fielder we're protecting here. That's an awful long run for the catcher. Pitchers are sometimes athletes, but that's a long way for a pitcher to go. That's typically a first baseman's ball. But he can't get there because he was interfered with. So if I have interference on an infield fly, what do we got?
Batter out, runners out for interference as well. So you got two out as well.
100%. Which is why it's important. Which is why, Gary's favorite. Which is why it's important to know whether or not we have an infield fly here. So we have an infield fly situation. We need to know that it can be handled with ordinary effort by an infielder. We'll give you that one for the purposes of this discussion. And now, was it touched in fair territory? So here's another look at this. Watch where this ball comes down. And does the catcher ever touch it? Not yet. Not yet. Lands fair.
Yep.
Has he touched it yet?
No.
Not yet. And it kicks foul. That's a foul ball. Okay. So, I mean, it's why it's important here that our plate umpire is on the line, judging fair foul. This is going to be a tough one to get in any view because where this camera is coming from, we don't have an umpire there, right? So I would have probably from behind thought that this was touched. As the first base umpire, I probably would have thought it was touched. And if you thought that it was touched, then you're going to go with our two outs. You've got the batter out for the infield fly, and you've got R1 out for the interference. If you correctly get this, by some miracle of God, that you saw that it was not touched, then you've still got the out for R1 for the interference, but you don't have the batter runner out because you don't have an infield fly. You have a foul ball. Batter's back up.
Say that last part again because I just got to get it through my head again. That last scenario, what you just said.
If you have a foul ball, you don't have an infield fly. That's why we say infield fly if fair, right?
Yep.
If it's foul, it's just a foul ball, so the batter's not out. But the runner at first is always out on this play for interference.
Because he could have caught the foul out. Yep. Okay. Yep. Thanks.
All right. On to retired runner interference. So as I promised, we'll have a play here at second base that develops. We've got front end of a double play. So there was runners on first and second with one out. Ground ball hit to the second baseman who takes it himself, touches second base. That runner who just slid is now retired. We have the throw to first, and the throw gets away. Because why wouldn't it? Batter runner decides to go to second base. And unfortunately, guess who's still there?
Yeah.
Retired R1, still hanging out in the area. Just ducks and covers instead of trying to get out of the way. That's retired runner interference. It's also in this play going to be the third out. And so as the plate umpire, we're going to have to judge whether or not that interference occurred before the run scored. That's a timing play. So we got a little bit happening here.
It also looked like he missed first base.
That could also be true, Teddy. We'll see this again, I think, from well, maybe not, from a different angle. But this runner, it's pretty close as to whether he's scoring or not, because the interference happens here, right? So as the plate umpire, want to have this lined up, be at point of plate, like we tried to hammer home at Merrimack Valley, and be in a position where you can judge whether or not this third out happened before the runner scored.
All right, devil's advocate here. That first runner that's expired, still hanging out. Does he look injured?
No.
Or does that matter?
It doesn't matter, frankly, but it would matter to me because if he's injured, I would have stopped the play. And I know that's maybe we should or shouldn't stop something that's in play, but if there's a player who's in jeopardy of being harmed, then I would happily shut that down and take the heat. This player is not injured. He stands up after this. I'm not sure if I can catch it here, but he stands up. And then it's because he realizes that this throw is coming that he just turtles and covers his head. He is not injured. And there are other angles of this that I didn't grab here for this purpose, but yeah, he is not injured.
Quick question on that. What is he interfering with, though? Because it looks like he's on the infield side, and it looks like the throw is coming, the runner and the throw are both kind of on the outfield side. So it doesn't look like he's, in the path of the runner or a fielder. But if you're drawing a line from the bases, he's definitely in that.
It's not drawing a line from the bases. He's interfering with that fielder's ability to move as he needs to complete that play. And from another angle, it's more clear that he is in the way.
Okay. All right. So just interfering with the ability to move is enough, even if it did.
And he does have to interfere. Just by being there, it's not interference. He has to interfere. In this play, we have a foul pop up to the first baseman. You'll notice that there are runners on first and third with one out, so R3 is going to attempt to tag here. This catch means that the batter runner is now out. The batter runner is right here thinking about how terrible it is that he's out. And the ball hits him. And now squirts away. And because of that, Joe West is calling this runner out because of the interference. So we have retired batter runner interfering with a play at home. R3 is also out. 2 outs on this play. All right, on to coach interference. So we have interference on coaches when they physically assist a runner during playing action. Note that during playing action, we cannot have coaches interference on a home run. Can't exist. The ball is dead. That's not playing action. When it does happen, the runner's called out immediately, but the ball is not dead. The ball remains in play and other stuff can happen. At the end of the play, we'll call time and make the enforcements. But as soon as the runner is interfered with, they are out. So if this is with 2 outs, this would again force a timing play. So for this, not a lot of videos of coaches interference that I could find. So I did a couple of case plays here. So batter hits a home run while rounding third, he trips over the base. Third base coach helps him up, brushes him off, gives him a little pat on the behind. He keeps going and scores. Is this assisting in the runners out, or is this legal in the run counts?
B.
Legal, run counts. Did he assist him? Sure did. Did he assist him and violate the coach's interference rule? He did not. Okay, it has to be during playing action, cannot be during a dead ball. Runners on second and third, 1 out. Batter hits a fair fly that bounces off the outfield fence, stays in play. Coach at third physically assists R3 at third base. R3 and R2 both score. Batter stays at first. How would we enforce this? First of all, legal or
B.
Illegal. At the end of the playing action, R3 will be called out. Are we going to wait till the end of the playing action to call you out?
No.
Kill it.
Illegal?
Yeah, so the answer is D.
Correct. Illegal, called immediately. Ball remains live. Any subsequent outs or advances by runners are allowed. About a third base coach that gets hit by the ball, hit by a thrown ball, not intentional, and they're standing in foul territory, but outside of the coach's box. Any penalty there?
I think so.
We have
No.
a thrown ball.
A.
With a thrown ball, does interference have to be intentional?
No.
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
it does.
This is accidental. Okay, we cannot have interference on a thrown ball on an accidental contact. So there's no penalty, ball remains live. Because he's in three things. He's in foul territory, it's a thrown ball, and it's accidental. Those are the things that make this legal and no penalty. Because in this next situation, he's accidentally hit by a thrown ball while standing in fair territory. Now we have a problem. Okay. When he's in foul territory, we give him a wide degree of latitude, even if he's outside the coach's box, because they move around, especially when the ball's put in play. But if he moves into fair territory, now we have a problem. Even if it's accidental, he's somewhere where he doesn't belong, and now we have a penalty. This is interference, and the ball is dead. Okay, spectator interference.
So in that the previous one, assuming he's hit by a thrown ball while he's standing in fair territory, it's interference and the ball becomes dead. You must be getting it out somewhere.
You are. Whichever
Question would be who?
whichever runner they were making a play on, it's probably whoever was trying to score.
That was my presumption, but it doesn't mention.
Yep.
Doesn't mention outs, just says interference and the ball becomes dead.
Yeah, could be R3, could be R2 trying to score, but it's probably whoever was trying to score.
Yeah, probably. You could imagine a situation where R2's trying to go back to third, and the ball had gotten away, and the coach ends up in fair territory for some bizarre reason. Catcher dings him with the ball.
Could be. So for spectator interference, we're going to run around first. Batter hits a fair ball down the right field line, rolls into foul territory, and comes to a complete stop. Spectator picks up the ball, just somebody trying to be helpful, realizes now that it was actually a fair ball and he probably shouldn't be touching it, drops it, and all before the right fielder gets there. What do we have here? Is this spectator interference, or do we have nothing? C. The ball is immediately. Umpires award R1 and R2 and B2 the bases they would have reached in the umpire's opinion had there been no spectator interference. So anytime we have spectator interference, immediate dead ball. And then the pressure is entirely on us to figure out where would those runners and batters have ended up had the spectator not done that. So if you think that was going to be a double, it's a double. And if you think R1 was going to score, score. Okay, that's entirely your purview at that point. We're trying to undo that spectator interference. But we don't wait and see how the play plays out and there are overthrows and all that. This is an immediate dead ball. Similarly, we've got a first baseman here who reaches into the stands. So for us, this could be reaching over an imaginary line. It could be a lot of things, but the point is they've reached over into dead ball territory to make a catch on a foul ball. The spectator touches their glove and prevents the catch. What do we have here?
Foul ball.
B, foul ball. Why do we have a foul ball?
Who's in the stand?
He's reaching into the stands.
Correct. The difference here is they reach into the stands. So you've got, whether you've got an imaginary line or you've got an actual line or you've got real bleachers and stadium seating, wherever that wall starts or wherever that imaginary line is that goes up forever, the fielder owns all of that and into live ball territory. From there into dead ball territory, that's the fan's area. And so if the fan reaches over that line into live ball territory, we're going to have spectator interference. In this situation, the first baseman is reaching in. That means that the spectators are not guilty of interference, just a foul ball. Two types of umpire interference that we can have. First one here, hope we can all see on that one that the plate umpire's mask was knocked off by the catcher's throw. As the catcher comes up to throw to third here, his throwing hand makes contact with the bottom of the umpire's mask. That's umpire interference. It's the first type we have. Plate umpire interfering with the catcher's throw. This is a delayed dead ball. If the catcher throws out the runner at third base, the runner's out, and we ignore that the interference happened. If the runner is safe at third, then we have a dead ball. Time. That's interference on me. We're going to put the runner back. No outs here. Unfortunately, sorry, Gary. We're just putting the runner back. Our other type of umpire interference is when the base umpire gets hit by a batted ball. So in this situation, you can see the ball's hit toward this umpire and the ball hits it. This is not a delayed dead ball. This is an immediate dead ball. Batter runner gets first base, and any runners forced to advance because of the batter runner becoming a runner get a base. So in this case, we had R1. R1 will get second. If you started this play with runners on second and third and had the same thing happen, you would end this play with bases loaded. Batter runner would get first base. R2 and R3 are not forced to advance by the batter runner becoming a runner. They stay at second and third.
Hey, Phil, what happens if the umpire gets hit by a thrown ball?
The umpire gets hit by a thrown ball. It's not umpire interference. Ever.
Play goes on.
Yep.
Okay.
That said, I don't recommend it, Ken.
It's never happened to me, but I just asked.
Asking for a friend. We hear you. It's okay.
Yeah.
So here we have a ball that again goes up the middle, hits the base umpire. And what this grainy video doesn't show is that this ball hit the pitcher. So this ball ricocheted off the pitcher, hits the base umpire, and then goes to the shortstop. Now, our umpire interference rule for the base umpire is that it's a dead ball if the ball doesn't pass a fielder other than the pitcher. But if the ball makes contact with the pitcher, now in that situation, we don't have umpire interference anymore. So this is going to be the unluckiest double play that this batter has ever hit into.
How does that get recorded in the book, Bill? 1U63.
We got people who worry about that who are not me, Paul. I don't get paid enough to keep the book. There's your thrown ball, Ken. Oops, sorry. Thrown ball. Try to not be in the throwing lane. You can see this umpire doesn't call time. He just looks at it like, I can't friggin' believe that that just happened. That ball's live and in play. Live and in play. All right. So wrapping up here, obstruction, defensive interference by any other name. This is catcher's obstruction. Could theoretically be by any defensive player, although you'd have to have a pretty weird starting configuration to have it be by somebody other than the catcher. So we have a catcher hindering the batter. So Some examples, just to think about what that hindering is, are listed in the base running section. They could step across home plate. So as the pitch is coming in, they step forward to receive the throw or the pitch, pushing the batter out of the way. If there's an attempted steal of home, again, trying to get to that pitch, or touching the bat. And this is the more typical one, right, where the catcher's reaching out for the ball and the batter swings and makes contact with the catcher's mitt. So those are all examples. They're not the only examples, but some examples just to get your mind working of what this would look like. So how to enforce this? Like all obstruction in federation, it's a delayed dead ball. And in other rule sets where we would have this as catcher's interference, it's also a delayed dead ball. We have to wait and see what happens with the play here. So if there's no contact made with the ball, easy. Time, batter runner gets first base. Anybody else forced to advance, move him up. If he fouls off the pitch, same enforcement, right? It's still going to be a time, batter runner gets first base, everybody moves up. When the fun happens is when he actually puts the ball in play, when there's some type of catcher's obstruction. And now we have to wait and see what happens. If the batter runner gets first base and all other runners advance at least one base, we ignore the catcher's obstruction / catcher's interference. Like it never happened. There isn't going to be an option. We're not going to do any enforcement. Like it never happened. If those things don't happen, the batter runner gets thrown out at first. If all other runners don't advance one base, at the end of the play, we have to call time and we have to enforce the obstruction or the catcher's interference. Okay, we have to enforce it. That could mean some crazy stuff. Like, let's say you get a runner on third base, bottom of the 7th inning in a tie game with 1 out. Catcher interferes with the batter's swing. He lifts a fly ball to left field. Runner on third tags and scores the winning run. Did the batter runner get first base? Nope, he's out. So we need to enforce the catcher's obstruction, which means we're going to give the batter runner first base and we're going to put the runner back on third because he was not forced to advance. Well, you may be asking yourself, why am I going to keep umpiring this friggin' game when the winning run just scored? And this is why the offense has the option to also take the result of the play. So in this situation, or one like it that's advantageous to the offensive coach can come out and say, hey, I want to take the result of the play. And you say, that sounds great. I'm going home. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So in this case play, we have a runner on second base. Catcher obstructs the batter, hits the ball to the outfield and reaches first safely. R2 is thrown out at home. So just to step you through this, did the batter get to first base? Yes. Did the runner advance at least one base? Sure did.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have an enforcement for catcher's obstruction? We ignore it in this situation. So even though we have an out that gets recorded on this play, he's at his own peril. He's running at his own risk. We're not going to get him get out of jail free card and put him back on third base here. Okay. This one is the result of the play stands. There's no option. There's no nothing, right? We're not enforcing this at the end. This is, we ignore it, play stands. Different than case play 2 here, where we have a runner on second base stealing. Catcher sees the stealing runner, reaches over the plate to receive the pitch and attempt to throw out R2 at third. Batter doesn't swing. What do we got?
D.
D, this is catcher's obstruction. R2 is awarded third. B2 is awarded first. So we're awarding R2 third base because he was stealing on the pitch. And the batter is awarded first because of the catcher's obstruction. This is catcher's obstruction. You do not have to have a swing to have catcher's obstruction. We are not going to force the batter to maim the catcher so that we can grab obstruction here. Case play 3, R2, we have a runner on second with 1 out. Catcher obstructs the batter, hits a ground ball to the second baseman who throws him out. First baseman overthrows third in an attempt to retire R2, who then scores on the overthrow. After the playing action, what do the umpires do? Let's break this down. Did the batter runner acquire first base?
No.
Did not. So as the umpire, what do I have to do at the end of this play? I have to award the batter runner first, and I have to put R2 back at second because he was not forced to advance. At this point, the offensive manager can come out and say, I'll take the out and the run.
Yep.
But we don't chase them. We don't go to the offensive coach, say, hey, coach, what do you want to do? Right? That's not the job. Okay. We are enforcing the action here. So we're putting the batter on first base, putting R2 back. And then when they come out to talk to you and say, what's going on? That's a good time to have the conversation. But we don't immediately seek out the coach for his advice. By rule, we have to enforce this.
I have a question, Phil.
Fire away.
So what happens now is they have the obstruction, and the coach comes out and he doesn't know, and he says, "Hey, don't I have a choice?" At that point, you would tell him he has choices.
Yeah.
Right.
Say, sure, you can take the result of the play, or you can do it, the enforcement that I just did. So when you put everybody back, make sure you know what the result of the play was in case you have to go back to it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Is that it, Phil?
That's it. So we went a few minutes over there, guys. Great questions, and hope this was helpful. Any other questions before we break?
Quick one, yeah. If we have, going back to the dancing base runner, if U1 for whatever reason doesn't see the dancing base runner, can the plate guy help him out? Does he need to wait for help?
What do you got, Rick?
Okay, so you're saying like the ball gets hit to the shortstop and the base runner decides to dance around?
Correct. And U1 doesn't see it. For whatever reason, U1 doesn't see it, but the plate guy does.
Mm-hmm. Well, shame on the base guy for not seeing it, because at that point you should be turning with the ball and understand that something's happening there.
I'll tell you what I would do. As a plate umpire, I wouldn't call it, but after the play ends, I would go to the base umpire, right, in our attempt to get the call right. This kind of new thinking. There was a time when we would have just died knowing that, and after in the post game would have said, "Hey, how'd you miss that?" Right? I don't think that's the way we think about baseball anymore. And so I would approach my base umpire at that point and say, "Hey, did you see that interference?" And if he saw it and thought, "No, that wasn't interference," I'm not going to go get that, right? And that's why I wouldn't feel comfortable jumping on it right away. But if he then says to me, if he says to me, "I didn't see it at all, I was looking at the hot mom in the third row," then I'd say, let's go with interference on that.
So I would say the way that's going to unfold is that you've got nothing, and then somebody's got something and is going to ask you to see if the plate guy had something. And then you get together, you speak about it, like Phil said. You come to a conclusion, and if you decide there was something there and you have that information now to change the call, you do so. But you got to be pretty convinced as the plate guy that it's something, right? Yeah.
Okay.
It's tough.
And just to be clear on the last scenario with taking the result of the play, if the coach doesn't know the rule, then it's their tough luck.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And by tough luck, I mean, like, if they come out at all, right, and we're having a conversation where we're talking, like, we're going to talk about it, whether it's from him or from me, we're going to talk about it. It's the idea, the difference there, Tom, is the immediacy of going and asking the coach, right? Like, he's got to come to you.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah, and most likely, Tom, they're going to come out and say, "Are you kidding me, Phil? I scored a run on that play. Isn't there something we can do about that?" Okay, yeah.
Sure is. Do you want to take the result of the play?
As a matter of fact.
Great.
Right. So, yeah, that's good. Good question. Anything else? We're gonna go to closing.
I got one quick question.
Okay.
When it comes back to the being a dead ball after a home run, and I know we had talked about how the third base coach assisted a fallen player, but if we've got a bunch of players huddling around home plate, waiting to high five that player, and somebody touches the runner, and now I've got the opposing coach going, "Hey, hey, hey! He helped him. He obstructed." Is that the exact same thing? It doesn't matter how many players touch him; it's still a home run.
On a home run, absolutely does not matter how many players touch him. Absolutely. And just because the other coach doesn't know the rules doesn't mean that we should do anything differently, right? Because he may just be trying to get a call from you too. That is definitely not any type of interference.
Phil, are you gonna be with us next week?
That's a good question, Rick.
Is this one of the weeks you weren't going to be able to be with us, or are you going to be with us?
I will not be next week.
Okay. So what I would like to do next week, guys, is go do a session on various game management stuff. Okay. Stuff like when you get there, how you're gonna reach out to your partners, where you're gonna park from that point all the way to the end, and everything that has to do with managing your time at the field or at the site, on the field, and before you leave. Okay, we're gonna go over all those little nuances about it that sound mundane and kind of boring, maybe even, but very important to be successful and gaining trust with everybody that's involved with the game. So we'll go over all that stuff next week, game management stuff. Okay.
Did you say the test was available beginning of March, Rick?
Phil, can you update us on the status of the test?
Yeah, the test will be available it's been sent to the NHIA. They will post it to Arbiter on the 1st. It will close on April 1st. The passing score is 80, and there are 3 questions from the exam that were replaced with custom questions as we've typically done in the past. So yeah, March 1st to April 1st is the timing window.
Okay, thanks.
We're gonna in the next couple days put a PDF copy onto the website for you. You'll have to grab it from the website. It'll be a link that you can print out the test ahead of time, so you can do the questions ahead of time on paper. So if you all want to get together somewhere or something like that, or you can do that. And those questions will all be in the same order as with the online test. So when you do it, you'll be able to, when you take your real test, go right down, and it'll be pretty easy for you. But you'll have to go to the website to get that. We're not going to send it to you via email. We're going to require you go to the website, download it from the website. Okay?
Good, thanks.
Phil,
just like in previous years, the questions follow the rule book, right? So the first questions are for rule 1. The next set of questions are for rule 2. So if you feel like you're jumping around in the rule book, you are probably doing it wrong.
Do you do any smoker classes to go over the tests?
Gary, you're going to do that, right?
Yes, there are actually going to be 2. The first one will be March 10th. I'll be sending it out via an event. And then I'll tape that one, and we'll do another one just in case you want that interaction type question and answer type thing. So the first one will be March 10th. So get your test done.
Right.
Phil, what about a makeup on the interpretation if you missed the thing at Merrimack Valley?
Yeah, still locking down a date, Teddy. I'm between 2 days right now, 2 Sundays. It's probably going to be a Sunday afternoon, evening. Just haven't figured out which one in March yet. Probably leaning towards the 22nd.
Thank you.
When do you have to be on a new arbiter? When do you have to be on a new arbiter?
That's just a new app that's available to you. Everything that you know as far as the computer and the PC is concerned and what you get, nothing's going to change there. There's a new mobile app that's not going to be supported any longer, and you'll have to get the new app in order to be able to utilize that. that's probably the message you're referring to that you need to do.
Yeah, it's March 1st.
What's that, Chuck?
March 1st.
It keeps coming up every time I go on the arbiter that you have to
Just
change
go
over.
in the, yeah, just go in the App Store, upload it, it comes up, and it replaces it March 1st.
Okay. If you're having trouble with the arbiter, Gary's an expert on the arbiter. He'll be happy to help you with anything you need.
Thanks, Rick.
I'm very far from an expert with the arbiter, so I'll always refer you to Gary. Next Monday, like we said, game management. Keep an eye out for other events as far as cage sessions and workshops and whatnot. We're trying to secure some more facilities, and so they'll be added as we get the facilities commitment, and we'll do some more of them. Hopefully, we'll get a couple more in before the preseason. I mean, not before the regular season, and give you a little more preseason work. So, thanks for coming, guys. Appreciate it. You guys are. I'm really pleased. You guys are really coming along and getting to here, and that's the battle, is getting here and learning. So thank you for that.
Thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you.